Welcome to Season 2, Episode 29 of the Bulls REKAP Podcast. This is the offseason. This is the first Bulls offseason podcast of the spring. I'm Joe Cowley of the Chicago Sun-Times. You can obviously follow me at the Sun-Times. You can follow me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at @JCowleyHoops. The Blackstone is out. The Bulls are done, and the kid is back at Cowley Estates North. But the work is not finished for the Bulls. Let's elephant in the room, Billy Donovan. As of this is Thursday the 16th, he has had his meeting with the Reinsdorfs. He has gone back to his house in Florida. There's going to be a short thinking period. I wrote a piece for the Sun-Times yesterday, my feelings about it, and I'll take you through that, and we'll get to where the decision is with Billy Donovan, and then address the other Bulls news that is, the other elephant in the room. First of all, before the Arturas Karnisovas, Mark Eversley firings, we've said on this podcast, wrote in the paper, broke that story, that Billy Donovan was out. It was not a Cold War with the front office as much as the front office had kind of failed giving him his appetite of winning. And he did not see the plan like they saw it. So, but it was not contentious. It was not angry. It was very factual of, hey, I love our communication. I love the relationship we've had, front office coach. I did not have this at Oklahoma City with Sam Presti. And that was part of the problem of why I walked. It wasn't just because he didn't want to go through a rebuild. That was a nice little easy out. It was because he didn't want to go through a rebuild with a guy who feels like he's the smartest guy in the room, and very well maybe. So with all that said, this came down to Billy Donovan seeing the failures of this front office. And I wrote on Wednesday, a really good source had told me about the Tyrese Halliburton thing, and I know AK had come out since that Halliburton was real high on her board. Bullshit. From the people I've talked to that were inside that room, Arturas Karnisovas, and again, this was a COVID year, so workouts had to be done on video. There were a couple visits to people, but it was just rough. You did a lot of tape work, video. It was his first draft. And I think he fell in love with the tools and the body. Loved the idea that he had a guy look like Tarzan. No one knew he was going to play like Jane. And so Patrick Williams was the pick when you looked at his build, his body. Tyrese Halliburton was not. But I was told that one of the things Arturas Karnisovas said is he didn't believe Halliburton would be a top 4 talent on that current Bulls roster at that time. You can argue that Tyrese Halliburton, especially last playoff series, was a top 4 guy in the Eastern Conference. Big swing and miss. That started it. You can't have misses like that when you're picking number 4. That sets the table for the next 4 to 5 years. Then when you extend that mistake and give it $95 million or $90 million with the player option, shame on you. You've committed cardinal sin number 2 on that talent. So I think it was just, pick after pick of just misses. I think when you go into last year's draft and you see that class and you come out and say, I'm going to draft a 18-year-old Frenchman project, you're telling your coach, we're not serious about winning right now. So Billy Donovan was gone with that scenario, that Arturas and Mark Eversley were staying. Then they're fired. We've addressed this in the previous podcast. Huge news, out of character for the Bulls, but a standing ovation for Michael Reinsdorf for saying, I know this is out of character on both sides of town, White Sox and Bulls. We do not fire front offices, especially over a manager or coach. And we do not fire them until the season is over. And we don't like dead money on top of it. I know Michael brought up the fact that who said there was a contract extension. There was a contract extension. It was semantics. Maybe the time frame was off, but trust me, if there was no contract extension, then you simply just finish the season off. And if they have no contracts, you just don't renew their contracts. There was a firing for a reason, because there was money still on the table. So with that said, after that firing, I was down to Billy Donovan, 49% he leaves, 51% he stays. That was about 10 days, a week, couple weeks left in the season. As the season went on, as the last couple games were played, the way he was talking was very reflective. It was very looking back on good times. And then I'm not going to go into too many details about just the private discussions we had with Billy at the end. Billy met with all the media guys after that game in Dallas. It was very emotional. He was emotional. He's had an unbelievably rough year. It's been well documented. His father passed. The relationship he had with his father is, look, I went through that in January, and it's just an empty piece of you that's still out there. Then he lost his mother-in-law a week later, and then at the mother-in-law's funeral, they find out that his mom had some circulation issues and had to have, some of her leg amputated. So you're talking a brutal stretch in February over before the break, into the break. So he needed to hear what the Reinsdorf said, go back to Florida, spend time with his mom. I think he just he's got a new grandbaby too. So I think there's that on the table. But as I wrote yesterday, and after kind of reflecting on all that, the fact that he didn't tell the Reinsdorfs, I'm in. I see the draft capital. I see the vision. I'm in. And then he's going back to Florida. I moved it now 60% gone. It might even be going higher as the days go on. By the weekend, I might be up to 70%. I just think he sees this as a good situation 4 or 5 years down the road, and he's just tired of the losing. When you look at Billy Donovan's resume, Florida was one thing, the damn arena is named after him. He's in the Hall of Fame for a reason. Even at OKC, up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals, and then KD decides just to let this monster from the Bay just swarm over him, and then join them in the offseason as a free agent. Way to be a foxhole guy, KD. And that's when Billy Donovan had elite talent. Should that team have gotten further in previous seasons to that? Possibly. And again, that goes to the simple fact that I've always maintained Billy Donovan is a top of the second tier coaches. He's not one of the elite. He's not Spoelstra. He's not, I don't think he's Tips, to be honest with you. We'll get to him in a second. But, he's not in that elite class. He's not in that top 5 or 6. But when you get to that second grouping, and it's an interchanging fluid grouping, he's definitely near the top of that. I think he's a top 10 NBA coach. Bulls fans, there's a lot of Bulls fans, Billy Donovan critics. Billy, blah, blah, blah. I don't like the way they treated Modest. Wah. Okay. Tell me all the great talent Billy Donovan has had to coach in Chicago. Because I will go and say, okay, he had Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and made that a playoff team. Those two went to Sacramento. It's been a disaster. Has DeMar gotten older? Yeah, but it's still the same DeMar game, that mid-range game. He's still good at that. He falls out of bed and will kill you in the mid-range. So, this idea that the league has told you what this Bulls team was. The league has told Arturas Karnisovas that your idea of depth over elite talent and just having really good players, 1 through 10, was a dumb model. You weren't Indiana. You didn't have Halliburton, the very guy that you thought you didn't need in the draft. You didn't have him. You didn't have Siakam, championship DNA. So for you to say, we're going to model this after Indiana, the league has told you your plan was stupid and failed. You know why? Because Kobe White comes off the bench in Charlotte, a young Charlotte team. Vooch comes off the bench for Boston. Ayo comes off the bench in Minnesota. These guys were just all really good NBA players. A collection of good NBA players, not great. Where was your great player that Billy Donovan could have coached? Where was your elite talent? Where was that dude? Nowhere to be found. So the Billy Donovan critics, Chicago does not really know good NBA coaching. It's not your fault. It's like Stockholm syndrome. You had Phil Jackson, the best ever in Bulls history. You had Tibbs, the second best. They were both chased out of town by ownership because that's what happened. And since then, you don't know what you have. You don't know when you have good coaching. And that may be across multiple sports fronts. I don't think it's a city that recognizes good managers, good coaches. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been this outcry of good when Ozzie Guillen got fired. I mean, arguably the best manager for the White Sox in decades. But I just don't know if Chicago recognizes coaching/manager talent when it's staring them in the face. I don't think they have a good grasp of that. And again, it's not your fault. You've been handed poop, been forced to eat poop sandwich after poop sandwich until you're like, yeah, this poop sandwich isn't bad. Put a little salt on it, it's not bad. So you just kind of, the idea that Billy Donovan is somehow faulted this is just beyond stupid. Billy Donovan's going to get a job right away. As long as the Reinsdorfs let him out of the contract, he's going to get a job right away. So I think he is now 60%. I wrote 60%. A day later, I'm up to 65, and this continues to kind of climb. I think he'll give his decision in the weekend or probably early next week. And I think it is not only a front office search, it is a coaching search that the front office will obviously have now a full say in, instead of saying you're inheriting Billy Donovan, which wasn't an awful plan. It worked in Minnesota. People like, it's awful and it limits you. Look, this is a great job. If a front office guy and they have big egos, wanted this job, they would take Billy Donovan. And then if you want to move off him in 1 or 2 years, you can do that, because this is a 1 or 2 year, at least, fixer-upper before you become serious. So you'd have a couple years to evaluate him, see how he's doing with this young talent, and then make that decision. So, look, I've completely enjoyed my time with Billy Donovan. I've had some great coaches and managers to work with. Jerry Manuel, who I just had breakfast out in Sacramento about a month ago on that West Coast trip. I mean, he took a shitty 2000 roster to the playoffs, and a gentleman of all gentlemen, a great person. The greatest manager? No, but one of the greatest people. And I was fortunate to have him. And then it went straight to Ozzie Guillen. It went to like having a stepfather who taught you about life, and then getting a crazy uncle who freaking just it was a party and good times and a championship, playoff runs. I mean, those are the two guys I had with the White Sox, and then I was done. Then I come to the Bulls, and I had Tibbs, and I felt like I got Tibbs right away. I got it. Gruff, stern, beneath it all, a sweetheart, a dude who just, people have no idea that just what he is as a person off the court. And I don't think he ever wants people to know that, and that's fine. So, and then things got a little wanky. Obviously, Fred Hoiberg, the big coaching search they did, the nationwide coaching search that started at Iowa State and ended at Iowa State, never left Iowa State, another Gar Forman lie. Fred Hoiberg, enjoyed Fred. Good person, was not NBA prepared. He thought he'd come here. The locker room would kind of run itself, and the coaching staff would kind of adhere to letting him go play 18 holes and then come back and the prep work's done and he's good. He could just go out and coach. That was not the case. He was not prepared for the backstabbing that goes on in the NBA. And then you add that to a Bulls organization where they put the fun in dysfunction. It was like Opie dropped in New York City, and he was not prepared for it. And Jim Boylan knew that and slowly put the knife in his back. Then Jim Boylan takes over. Disaster. Shame on everyone involved that got fooled by him. So, I went to Fred Hoiberg and then Jim Boylan. And so to get Billy Donovan, what a great get. And great basketball mind, great person just to BS and talk basketball with from the 80s, the old Big East 80s. I had him on the podcast last year. Go back, Google it, find it. We didn't even talk. I don't even think we brought up the Bulls because I grew up in that Hoya paranoia and Billy's Providence team and St. John's. And I mean, that was the attraction I first had to college basketball. So I wanted to talk to that. And then covering preps, I knew, I had some high level prep guys. I covered Ruben Patterson, Melvin Levitt, I remember going to Vegas and seeing some guys with an AAU team, and then the Solon Cage Classic brought in Team Michigan, led by Kevin Garnett, Robert Tractor Trailer, Desmond Ferguson, who went to Missouri, Terrence Roberson. And it was funny going over these names and Billy remembering recruiting these dudes when he was at Florida. So, we had a great time on the podcast just talking basketball that anyone under 50 years old didn't give a shit about, but I loved it. So I loved the time with Billy Donovan. I'm going to miss Billy Donovan as a person, and because I do think he's gone. We'll see what this new front office does. There's an excitement to this all too. We don't know who the front office is. We don't know if it's going to be a big fish or a big shark. Is it going to be someone who was a former agent? Is it going to be someone that's, the way I would do it if I was them, and I think I've said this before, call up Bob Myers, call up Sam Presti. It's nice you hire this firm to do the search, and that's fine. But call these guys up and ask them, are you interested? No. Who's your main guy? Can we interview him? And then link that with what the firm finds. I'm going to tell you how firms work. Throughout the season, these weasel assistant GMs or GMs that want to become executives, when they go into town where there's a firm, they go out to lunch with that firm and try cutting in line. And the firm is trying to promote them because, look, you came from our firm. We're getting shit done. And then they're like, well, I'm aligning myself with this firm, and hopefully I am a good coach or a good GM or a good executive. I cut the line by coming to lunch with you, and hopefully I pay off. And it's just a incestual relationship. You don't want to rely too heavily on a firm. Put it that way. There's a lot of BS and politics that go into that. Use it as a tool. Don't use it as the end all be all. And then that whoever they hire will come in and they'll bring in whatever coach it is. So that's elephant number one. Elephant number two. It's exciting to be a Bulls fan. It's exciting to be a Bulls media member because of what happened the other night in the play-in. The play-in games have been fantastic for multiple reasons. Just the excitement, the storylines. Just talk to the crime dog about this. I mean, we had to watch Bulls playing games. That was like watching, poop go down the toilet. This has been the Charlotte game. Then later that night, Portland just giving the Bulls like Christmas in freaking April and saying, here you go. Here, finally, you can take this pick and have it in one of the best draft classes in the last 5 years to have that pick. So, thank you, Larry Markkinen trade. Thank you, Arturas. You finally did something right. It happened while you were gone, but thank you. That was your trade. So 2 picks in the top 15. One of them, worst case scenario, maybe they slip back to 10, but feel like numbers wise, I think it's 50% It's going to stay at 9. Fine. If it stays at 9, fine. 20.3%, it drops up into number 4. We're not asking for I think it's 4.5% for number 1. Put us in the top 4. And I'm talking as a media member. Give me something exciting to cover. Give me Caleb Wilson. Give me Cam Boozer. I won't talk to his old man. That's fine. Give me Darren Peterson. I'll be a little worried, but the talent, give me number 1 so I could take AJ DeBonsa from the front office. Do that for me. I remember Will Gottlieb and I were talking. It was during the Charlotte game as a home game. Will Gottlieb from CHGO. We've had him on the pod multiple times. Love Will, one of the smarter guys, much smarter than me. Knipple just hits this freaking just assassin 3. And I turned to him, and he just looks at me, and I was like, where's our Con Knipple to watch? Where's our Con Knipple to be excited about? Maybe it's this draft. I don't know how. I don't know which way. I would not trade both picks to try and move up like to 6 unless you really love a guy, Darius Acuff, maybe if he falls. And I don't know if I would do it. I remember you got a second-round pick that I think is like number 38, which kind of feels like a tweener between first and second when you have a deep draft. So hopefully the front office hits on these guys. And I would go best available with the first pick. And then second pick, I would go best available rim protector / front court guy that could help move Modest over to a 3. That would be my mentality. So if you stay at 9, you're probably getting one of those guards, Berries, or you're getting Mikel Brown Jr. You're probably getting someone in there. And we've talked about those names before throughout this season. So, exciting time because finally the Bulls, I think they have the second best overall draft capital. I think Memphis might be number one, and then the Bulls. When's the last time that's happened in a loaded draft class? So, hey, it's exciting times. It's I hate if Billy leaves. I'd like to see Billy kind of bring this thing, but I get it. I get it for Billy's sake. And I'm telling you right now, Orlando, that job's opening up. I don't care what happens the rest of the way with the Magic, whether they get out of the play-in or don't, or get out of the first round or don't. Mosley is gone. He is dead man walking. I know people associated with that organization. They are a mess. Paolo Banchero needs to be traded. He's a dude. He's an empty calories dude. I'll take the pieces around him over him. If you have to tell me trade him or Suggs, Wagner, the rest of that group, it's a no-brainer. Paolo, you got to go. And someone will think they're smart enough to coach this kid. He is a guy that gets you fired. He is a guy that gets your front office fired and gets your coach fired. Mosley's about to figure that out. No thanks on Paolo Banchero. Is he a bucket? Yeah. Let him get his buckets on a team far away from one I'm operating. So that thing's about to implode, and they need a complete culture change. And I think Billy Donovan is a great culture changer. So I think that's probably his strength, is he establishes a culture. You'd like to see him win a little bit more and do things on that level. But one thing he does is he puts a culture in place. So we'll see. But it is an exciting time to be a Bulls fan, be a Bulls media member, because there is so much unknown. It feels like there is so much change. And I don't know. Something just tells me they're going to land in the top four. I don't. It's just a feeling. It's just a feeling. And then maybe Will Gottlieb and I can look at each other and go, we get to cover freaking AJ DeBonza. Finally, some reason to come to work. So, all right, let's go to Cowley Island. Said this name earlier. Polarizing name. If Billy walks, it is not even a blink of an eye thought to me of who should be coaching this team and who should take this back over. Jerry Reinsdorf loved the Yankees. He's a New York guy. He grew up loving Brooklyn before they moved to LA, but he's kind of got that Yankees mentality, that Steinbrenner mentality of, as long as they're talking about me, even if it's negative, I don't care. They're talking about me. Kind of that Steinbrenner mentality. Who is Steinbrenner's guy? Billy Martin. How many times did Billy Martin get fired? I believe 3 times. Bring back Tom Thibodeau. You want a young team to grow up quickly and put their big boy pants on and understand the importance of playing two-way basketball? You bring in Tom Thibodeau. There's some openings there that Tom would be perfect at. Orlando, he would fix that right away. Physical team, he would embrace that. He would love that. Jalen Suggs, he'd have him chewing nails and shitting iron. It'd be great. If Cleveland fails, like I think they will, and the used car salesman that is Kenny Atkinson gets out of there, could you imagine Tibbs with that payroll? I mean, that payroll's got to be cut because they have the highest payroll. They're over into the second apron. They got to do something. So they will lose something. But Mobley, Jared Allen, the defensive rim protection of those two, perfect. That's a car ready to drive, and Tibbs will drive it over people's asses. So I think there will be other opportunities for him if teams want to go ahead and say, all right, we want the Tibbs. We want the Tibbs experience. He's been going around to different camps, started off in college camps. We've talked about that on the podcast. Went around to NBA camps, out to Golden State, Minnesota, Cowley Estates North. He's gone all around. He's been busy following college. He knows which players he likes in college for this draft. If there's one thing Tibbs does, it's homework. 24/7. Tibbs knows the league. It isn't like, oh, Tibbs has stepped away for a bit, for a year. Maybe he'll be rusty. No. Tibbs probably knows the league and the draft more than half the NBA coaches that are being paid right now. And trust me, the NBA coaching this year has been atrocious. It has been too many analytics, yes men. It's almost turned into baseball. Not fully, but it's a lot of yes men. I'll play this guy X amount of minutes and we'll load manage this guy and this because my medical team said this and this. It's almost like the days of feel and gut and the eye test are falling to the wayside, and you see that in the product. Tibbs would be the best coach for the Bulls. I don't care if it's a rebuild. With the cap space they have, he knows the league. He knows what he wants from a team. He teaches good habits, and he takes underachieving talent and beats teams like Brooklyn in the playoffs where they have no business competing against a Brooklyn team and that roster back in the day with all the injuries they had and Bulls medical basically almost killing Luol Deng and Joakim playing on one foot and Nate Robinson playing like a stud and getting his first multi-year contract because of Tibbs. So that is the dude. You want Josh Giddey to become a two-way player or a better two-way player? Tibbs. You want Modest to understand two-way player and grow up quickly and embrace that tough love that Billy Donovan coached him with? Tibbs. Bulls fans, what are we doing? The best, one of the top 5 elite coaches in the NBA is sitting out there, knows the city, loves the city. You think it was any coincidence on Derrick Rose night that Derrick and Joakim and Taj made it a point to let the Bulls know that no, Tibbs is part of this ceremony? But wait, the players hate Tibbs. That's what dumb Bulls fans like to say, ignorant fans, because he makes life hard. The NBA is not easy. Being an elite player and at a high talent every night is not easy. Being coached hard is not easy. But these guys walk away a couple years later, especially if they have other coaches, and they go, damn, Tibbs was right. He's like the dad that told you, don't do this, don't do that, and you were annoyed by him. And then when you grow up, you're like, damn, Pops was right. Tibbs is Pops. And there's a lot of ignorant Bulls fans that minutes police got Derrick Rose hurt. Derrick Rose got Derrick Rose hurt. A steady diet of peanut butter jelly and candy and maybe a couple. You can't live like that in the NBA. You can't do it. That's what got you hurt. Not Tibbs, not when you were playing with a couple minutes left in a playoff game like everybody would and everybody does. That's what got you hurt. So, and the fact that Derrick brought him back and he's as important to Derrick Rose throughout his career, whether it was in Minnesota, wherever it was, New York, Tibbs has always had that kid's back. Derrick appreciated it years later as an adult. Joakim swears by Tibbs and Billy, but swears by Tibbs. So this idea that he ran guys into the ground and ran Luol Deng, let Masai and Luol Deng be the new front office. They better call Tibbs. If that's the new front office, Masai and Deng's the GM, first call better be Tibbs. Bulls fans that don't understand that, you don't understand basketball. Bam, let's go to the list. All right, these are the 5 most important Bulls players pre-draft. I mean, these are the guys that looking at the roster right now, and it's bones. It's a bones crew. It's a skeleton crew right now. But these are the 5 most important guys moving forward as we go to the draft. That means get their asses in the weight room, get healthy, get bulked up, get ready to go. Number 5, Tre Jones. Low maintenance guy. Will come ready to play. Not worried about him. Tre Jones is the consummate professional. He is a professional NBA basketball player in every sense of the word. The way he plays, the way he deals with the media, the person he is, the teammate he is, period. Number 4, Jalen Smith. Got to get healthy, bro. Got to get healthy. You showed some things this year. You did. Will be a nice player off the bench. A nice front court rotation player off the bench. You know, Lenny Miller, he's got potential. He's raw. But Jalen Smith, because of your ability to stretch the floor, valuable that you get healthy and get the calf fixed, stay healthy. Number 3, Josh Giddey. Get healthy, Josh. Get healthy. Work on some things, footwork, the shot. He said he really wants to start being able to take guys off the dribble a little bit more instead of just post guys up. I mean, he's not an isolation player by any means, but if he isolates you in the post, if it's a smaller guard, that works. And we saw that, especially early on. He had a couple huge baskets in important games back in October, November, where he just took, big bank, take little bank down in the post, and big bank from Aussie just won, whether it was that little hook shot or whatever it was. Number 2, Modest. Weight room, my guy. Weight room. For him to get 100-plus blocks in year 2, that's exciting. And the difference was it just wasn't like weak side help blocks. This was, you're trying to body me up, out physical me, one-on-one ISO, and take me to the rack, and I'm blocking your shit. That's huge. That is huge. So, Modest Buzelis, number 2 most important. Number 1, French kid, Noah Asenge. Supposedly you grew a couple inches. By all calculations, that puts you close to 7 feet. If you grew a couple inches, that means you're close to 7 foot. Look, this is a red shirt year for you. So basically the Bulls are getting number 9, unless they bump up or get screwed and bump down to 10. Percentages are small on that, not out of the question. Number 15-ish, number 38-ish, and then have Noah, who was number 11, who was ranked in everyone's top 20 last year. That's never been the question. It was just, it should have been a team where, like San Antonio, that had 2 picks. They take Noah. He's French. Wemby's French. That's your second pick because he's a project. He has time to grow with this young team. That's the kind of pick where Noah should have gone. Shouldn't have gone to a team that's bleeding out and needs talent. But he will have an offseason to get healthy. He said he's already working out. He's going to start doing one-on-ones in a couple weeks. That will turn into 2-on-2, 3-on-3, then physical contact. He is playing summer league as long as everything goes well with the shoulder and the season-ending surgery he had. So he will be out in Vegas for summer league. That's huge. He's the most important dude because he's only 18. He's not done growing. He's got to fill out. But maybe you have some kind of 4-5 type thing out of him when they go small. He's the 5, and supposedly he's a good shot blocker and could be a two-way player. Really can't tell by the way he's built. When you're built like a teenager, it's tough to tell. But so yeah, he's number 1. We still got a big decision coming. We'll emergency pod that if it happens. But it is exciting time to be a Bulls fan / Bulls media member / Bulls front office person, whoever that is. This is a good gig. It's ready to take off. Hopefully, the rocket has some fuel in it. It's got to be flown straight, and we'll see what happens. But emergency pod coming. It will be coming. Until then, I got next.